Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to Kessel Run. Coming up next we have a very interesting run because, as far as I'm aware, nobody has tried to run this, and I'm alnak. And today we're going to be running something really special, and this is Super Star Wars, and the platformer game that's set in the events of Episode 4, and I'm sure a lot of people know here. But I'm pretty sure all of you guys played the Super Nintendo version of this game, including myself. And as a kid, it was the first part of a trilogy that came out in that console. Well, that is not what we're actually going to be playing tonight, and this is actually a PC/DOS port of Super Star Wars that was developed by a Danish company called Brainbug in 1995. So this is an unreleased game, and what I'm playing right now is a late build of the game that was sort of like a leak on the internet, and we're gonna check it out now. Now, one of the things that really caught my eye on this version is that this is not a straight port of the Super Nintendo game. This is more like a sort of like a remaster, so to speak, because what these guys did was that they had to rework all the assets of the game, including the graphics, the audio, and some of the movement as well. So this is sort of more like a remaster, and it's trying to recreate the feel of the Super Nintendo game. And they do a pretty good job, in my opinion, and because the game feels really well, also as to speedrun. So we're gonna show it now. Let me check out them in the correct difficulty. Okay, I'm on easy. Just like in the Super Nintendo, this game is running the easiest difficulty because they did a really extremely well worked job in replicating the difficulty in the Super Nintendo game. So we're gonna play on easy, and off we go. So as I mentioned, this game, they had to recreate the graphic assets of this game, so we have an example right over here. It's a complete different cutscene in the Super Nintendo version. We also, of course, playing on a different aspect ratio as opposed to the Super Nintendo. So, okay, let's jump right into the game. So, for those of you who haven't seen this game before, this is a platforming game. It's like any other platformer, and you just go from left to right, and shoot a lot of enemies, grab some power-ups, and then kill the boss. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing right now. So the first things that I'm going to be doing here is grab this pistol around here. This is a blaster power-up, and our gun is going to be our main weapon in the game. There's 5 levels of power-ups across the that we can use power up our gun. And the idea is trying to max out our blaster straight away, right from the get-go, so we can just do more damage to enemies. That's the very first thing. The second thing that we're going to be doing is using a slide as a form of movement here. A slide is way faster than just running normally, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing here. So we are making our way across to the first boss fight, which is the Sarlacc pit. And this game is well known for having a low RNG, and the PC version is not an exception. It's also like gonna be some random feats. I'm hoping I'm gonna get a decent RNG in this run. But yeah, we just killed the boss here. We just praying that he doesn't go inside the mud. But no, he's kind of alright. He didn't die, so it's not awesome. So that's the first part of the first level. So we're now gonna get and go into one of the first Mode 7 sequence in the game, and this is one of the reasons why this game came to be. Basically, a developer of this Danish a programmer of this Danish company created a prototype of the Mode 7 gameplay for PC or for DOS. The Mode 7 is like this 3D graphics like sequences that you see in many platformers and JRPGs from the Super Nintendo. So he actually sent this to the publisher, who eventually sent it to LucasArts, and they struck a deal to try to make a PC port of Super Star Wars for the PC, and this is what we have. So the main thing here that is very noticeable right from the get-go is the lag. There's no lag in this version as opposed to the to any FPS that you see on the Super Nintendo version. So now we're making our way across this the desert. We're going to the Suncrawler, and we're gonna go straight into one of the levels that I'm pretty sure a lot of people here remember, which is this one, the Suncrawler. So we have to climb all the way up here and try to make it to the top. And there's gonna be a lot of enemies that are gonna be like blocking our way here, especially these Jaguars that throw detonators. And here I'm gonna grab my the second power, which is the Seeker. The Seeker, as you can see, just go straight into enemies. And a good thing about this version is that there's no lag, because in the Super Nintendo version, every time you shoot this gun, it produces a lot of lag in the screen, but that's not an issue here. Alright, so we're climbing up here. Of course, you fall here, you have to start from the beginning, all over. So there are many differences in this game compared to the Super Nintendo version as a speedrun. I'm gonna point those out when I get to that moment. Alright. So unfortunately, there's no way to speed up this part. We just have to wait for the platform here to make it. Ooh, I almost didn't make it there. I hesitate a little bit, but they're good. Alright, and now we reached up here. Luckily, there's no more enemies that can knock me up back here. And we just slide our way to the end. Let's see if I can grab the next power up here. Sometimes it's like over there floating, and sometimes you cannot get it for some reason. Right, we got it there. So this is Rapid Ion. This is a cool weapon, and it's slightly different than the Super Nintendo counterpart, because the projectiles are slightly slower, but it has the same properties, like it just bounces in through walls and ceilings. So I mentioned that the graphics, or like the art assets, had to be done by from scratch. The same goes for the music. The music is not the same one as the Super Nintendo version, where you had like the 16-bit music. Here was all like recreated in MIDI, and that's exactly what we're listening to right now. There's a few things in this level. First of all, there's a skip at the end of this. There's a skip in the boss fight on this stage that unfortunately is not possible to do in this version. And also there's another thing that also that unfortunately it did carry over from the Super Nintendo version. Alright, so these laser walls are kinda troll. You have to like slide from a certain position here so you don't get like bounce like that. How this starts can be very tricky. You have to kill them in order to progress here. Fortunately though, they drop a health there, so I can restore my health. So when I think about this game, this is one of the simplest games from the Super Star Wars trilogy. It doesn't have many glitches and just a normal movement. Oh, I'm gonna show you something here. So this is the slide cancel. This is something that as a strat that's carried over from the Super Nintendo version. Basically, if you slide and then you cancel it with a attack animation, like shooting, for example, you can actually conserve the hitbox of the slide. So, for example, if they decide to shoot me over the hip, none of the bullets are gonna hit me. It's just gonna go through. Alright, so this is the boss fight. Fortunately in this version as well, that I'm pretty sure some of the lava here and the Super Nintendo version can actually kill you. Here it only does a little bit of damage, fortunately. So even though we had to do this without doing the escape, it's still like way fast. It's still like way easier than doing in Super Nintendo. Now to one of the first blow blocks on this run. I mentioned before that RNG is huge in this speedrun, and especially in this part, for example, like that. That frog was right in front of me. Alright, so I'm gonna here. Sometimes when I'm just sliding there, the frog has decided to just block my way there. I got super unlucky. There we go. I got this power up. So there's gonna be a section here coming up next that's completely random. So really, it's probably the toughest platforming section in the whole speedrun, I would say. But we are not there yet. So first off, I'm gonna kill a lot of enemies here, more than the usual. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I wanted to drop thermal detonators to me. So thermal detonators are really huge in this game, in the sport, as opposed to the Super Nintendo version, because they function in a different way. So this auto-scroller, we just have to wait here, try to land in these rocks. The first one is like really straightforward, however, the second one can be like really finicky. Alright, that's a thermal detonator. I'm gonna explain why those are really important, but they are one of them, I think the biggest difference when it comes to speedrunning this game as opposed to the Super Nintendo version. Alright, so we're making our way here and we are reaching the hardest, toughest parts of this stage, definitely. So it's pretty much the same, with the only exception that it's gonna be birds that are gonna start flying over me, like that, for example. They can just knock you out there, and there's nothing you can do. It's completely RNG, so we're gonna try it again. So I'm just cogging the right screen here, hoping that those enemies are not gonna bother me there. No! Okay, let's try again. This is definitely one of the... I think it's the hardest part of the level, especially when you are back in the level 1 gun. So I think I can make it through. If I die here, I'm gonna just grab some extra lives just for safety here. Okay, maybe for nice. So we reached, and now we found Obi-Wan, who is gonna give us the lightsaber, which in this case is gonna be a usable weapon. Since I died a couple of times, I lose my power-up, unfortunately. So we had to do this part with the lightsabers. Otherwise, I will be using my gun here to kill these enemies. The lightsaber is the equivalent of the level 4 blaster and the rapid ion that you saw in this Suncrawler level. And here we can use it to clear these enemies. There's more mantas here. But yeah, this level goes really fast, but unfortunately, since I lose my power-ups here, I have to just take the time here to some health and not die. There we go. Alright. These guys do a lot of damage here. Alright, we made it for that. And now we're getting to reaching the next part, which is gonna be this boss fight. And here I'm gonna show why it's important the thermal detonators here to get some thermal detonators in this version. And thermal detonators usually what they do pretty much do, when you activate one of them, it explodes and it pretty much kills every single thing that's on the screen. And the huge difference is that I'm gonna show you here. I'm gonna use one for this guy. I can detonate it like that, and it does also do some really important damage to the boss as well. So the main thing here is that thermal detonators in the Super Nintendo version, usually when you grab them by an enemy drop, you have like a few seconds to activate it and kill the enemies on the screen. However, in this version, you can like pick them up as they are pickup items. You can store them. That's what I'm trying to say. So, and the huge neat part about that is that not only that, the quantity that you get also carries over from level to level. And also, even if you die, the same quantity, you still keep the same quantity of thermal detonators. So you can just use them whenever you want, and you can stack them. So you damn right I'm gonna use them for like the boss fights and stuff. That it makes make a quick word from of the boss fights. So pretty much the routing of this version entails you having to collect a lot of thermal detonators so you can use them in the upcoming boss fights. So now we are just finishing this part. Okay, now we can go to more slightly. There's a slight difference here as well as opposed to the Super Nintendo version, is that in the Super Nintendo version, when you are killing those Jawas, you are slow in approaching most sideless. But for some reason in this version, you have to kill the enemies first and then do the travel to most sideless. Oh, I ran out of fuel. I was hoping for more fuel here. There we go. Thanks. And now we're gonna get to a pretty interesting level. I'm gonna recover my power-ups here. And also, this is another difference as opposed to the Super Nintendo version, is that I'm gonna take the time here to grab more detonators so I can use them for the upcoming boss fights. So the detonators are random drops from the enemies. However, in this level you can use a few of the, there's a few of them scattered around the map. So I'm gonna try to find them. Alright, taking things slowly here since I only have flame. I need to recover my power up so I can continue this run. And here. So an important thing is that these spikes are they do a lot of damage to my character. Oh, nice, I got shields there. The shields are pretty good. I can just clip through enemies, and also they don't. I don't receive damage from those spikes as well. So I go over here. There's a thermal detonator here that I can grab. So I go here. So I'm just stacking those spots so I can use them in the boss fights. So this level is kind of tricky. You have also those stun troopers firing rockets. Those ones. And they can also kill your momentum, so you gotta be really careful to not do a jump in them and over a spike and just receive one of those shots, otherwise you're just gonna fall into that here. So here goes. Also, I'm playing on keyboard, which was kind of odd, but you get used to it eventually. I don't run the original Super Nintendo, Super Star Wars from the Super Nintendo. I do, however, speedrun also Super Empire Strikes Back, so a little bit of experience carries over to this. But they are still different games. So it's kind of crazy because after this I went back to see the Super Nintendo version of this game, and it was really different. And I already got used to this. Alright, so this is the first part in where I can choose my character to play. I'm gonna keep playing with Luke. Chewbacca we're gonna see it later, but Luke is definitely a better option because it's faster. So Luke has faster movement. However, his health bar is way lower here. That's the only drawback that this character has. So we are in a cantina now. I like this version of the cantina scene actually. Probably a little bit more than the Super Nintendo one. And it's sort of like a beat 'em up section. You gotta go through the screens and move a little bit, and then you're forced to kill these enemies. I'll show me now here. This one. Another big difference is that the enemy's position here, or the enemy stars, the quantity that spawn here is completely different from the Super Nintendo version. Apparently there's less enemies in that version. Alright. So yeah, in this part I'm forced to kill these enemies. Oh, those guys are really annoying, like the Tasmania Devils. Because whenever they're spinning, you cannot do damage to them. Down here. There's one. And I have again my power-ups. So I have 5. Yeah, I kinda need a grenades here. I'm being getting really bad depending on ranges unfortunately here, so I'm gonna try to do this boss fight as normal as possible. Otherwise, if I lose too much health, I'm just gonna use the detonator here. Just to speed this up. So, okay, I'm gonna use it. Because I wasn't sure if I was gonna win that trade-off. So yeah, the idea here is trying to stack up thermal detonators and I'm gonna go for Luke. And just trying to detonate blow up a lot of them to the boss fight. At least 2 or 3 in order to like make the fight go quicker. Alright. Usually in this level you are supposed to go with Chewbacca because it's safer, but because of it has a larger health bar, but I'm gonna use Luke here. So be really careful here. Oof. With this bison on the helmet. Yeah. Also, Stunter was just far from the sky. They can also stop your momentum. It's gonna be very important for the next level too. Okay. Nice. Okay. That's a good thing that I actually like farming XP guys here in case the more things drop. I mean, now with the first mini boss fight here, I'm just gonna hug this corner and just shoot it like this. And he goes down pretty quickly. This one, the only thing is that he does that the drill animation there, and where you cannot hit him a little bit. Well, that's fine. Okay, we made through that part. And now I'm just sliding my way here. That's another thing about this version as opposed to the Super Nintendo version, is that I can slide in more parts here. Like sliding up like this is not possible to do in the Super Nintendo version. Here is possible. And in the Super Nintendo version you pretty much only like slide on flat surfaces. So I gotta be careful here because these are droids, and droids they don't drop a health, so there's one more health power up here that I can need to grab. I'm sure that we can make this part quickly. Here, jump here. Okay, make it through that part, and now. Okay, that's my heart. Okay, now fine. So the detonators have been very useful for this boss fight, because what you're supposed to do, you need to kill like all the blasters here that are around the boss here before you can apply actual damage. But by using the detonators, you can just blow them up like quickly before like even it's like in the middle of the screen. So that boss fight goes really quicker as opposed to Super Nintendo. Oh yeah, so in this part, in the Super Nintendo version, you're supposed to you have the choice to pick which character you play here. For some reason here you can only use Luke. So, which is, even though he's faster, his jumps are not as high as the ones on Chewbacca. So let's try to focus here. The servos can be pretty annoying because the TIE fighters can like knock you, and also there's a few stormtroopers that are gonna show up later on that can actually troll you too as well. Yeah, I'm really surprised that they don't let you choose which character to play here. I guess I just go with Luke for some reason. That's like major difference in this version. You need to jump over those gaps. It is possible to jump from those gaps from the floor or from the bottom, but it's like really extremely precise. So we are now up to the part. Here come the stormtroopers. So these stormtroopers are completely RNG, and they can be really annoying. I'm just hoping the two of them spawn before I do these jumps, because what happens is that there's a chance that they can just jump and fall from the ceiling or from the sky, and right when I'm in the middle of my jump, they can actually like block my movement, block me, and just like I'm just gonna fall into the hole. Okay. So. I'm gonna here. This level is Went tricky to get. Ooh, I almost folded. Okay, there we go. So there's one last stretch here with the stormtroopers, and then we are ready to go. Coming on now. A little bit extra health just in case here, and we should be ready. Okay, I'm just waiting for those guys to spawn, and then I can risk it. Ooh, okay, and we are close to the boss fight. So this boss fight is also RNG heavy, and the Super Nintendo version, what we can do here is like, as soon as the weak point is activated, I'm just gonna blow up a couple of detonators like this. And now it's like I almost kill it there. Yeah, there we go. So that's pretty nice. I have 3 more detonators, and I'm gonna use it for the second to last boss fight here, because that one has a lot of health. Alright, so now we are in detention center to rescue Princess Leia. This part is also like really fast as opposed to the Super Nintendo version, because as I mentioned before... Oh my goodness, this mouse try is being really trolly. There we go. As I mentioned before, sliding up is not possible to do in the other version, so I'm gonna have some extra kill here. So the ideal thing here is that I need to go to this level with 7 thermal detonators, because I can use at least 5 of them and the next boss and the second to last level to insta kill the boss, and use 2 of them here. I only have 3, unfortunately, so I'm gonna save them for the second to last boss fight here. Another thing about this, when these crushes are retracting, there's a small chance they can actually kill you. For some reason, the physics doesn't work really well, so if you are hugging the crusher while it's retracting, it can actually insta-kill you, which is sort of odd. Alright. I'm just waiting for this level here. Oh, the mouse can actually be a troll as well. You just pushes to the other side when it's like moving towards your direction. And now. So now we are approaching the boss fight, which also is like, if I have more detonators, I could like get a quick kill there, but we gotta save those for the next boss fight on the next level. Kill you. So yeah, if I had my detonators, I could just use them while this thing was like descending. But unfortunately, I don't have enough, so I'm gonna save those. Alright, now we rescue Princess Leia, who is here. It's really flattering to see me. He's really like happy to see me. The first time I saw her expression there, I almost die. It was really hilarious. Alright, this is the only part we're going to be using Chewbacca. Chewbacca, one of the coolest things about this character is that it has a larger health pool, and also it can jump way higher, and this level is pretty much a vertical level, so we're gonna use his higher jump as an advantage here. There is a cool trick in the Super Nintendo version, and I think it's possible also to do in this version, where you manipulate the camera so you can actually make this platforms appear at the right time, so you have to do a lot of waiting here. I haven't learned that yet because I haven't I haven't run yet the Super Nintendo version of this game. I went straight to the PC port. I definitely need to like now run the trilogy, right? So I run Empire and now I run this, so yeah. I had to go back and learn Super Return of the Jedi as well. Yeah, this is the second to last level. We are just climbing our way back up, and then the final Death Star level. So yeah, this level you can finish it like super quickly. You can you'll you know the cycle strats here. I'm on our way up. Just need to make sure that I don't get hit a lot here, because also can be very finicky for the boss fight. Unfortunately, that's like you like kill pickups right at the beginning of that boss fight, and I have 3 detonators, so I think gonna cap him. Pretty low in health before I can do the final like shots. So we're almost done. So as soon as I get here, I'm gonna blow this up. And oh my! Oh my god! That's not what I wanted to do. Holy crap! Oh yeah, I had to start over. I wanted to raise the camera, now press the jump button there. So that's happens sometimes. The jumping animation doesn't work there. Okay, so. I'm gonna climb all my way back up and grab some detonators too. Possible. Yeah, we need to wait for these elevators now. We should be fine with Seeker. The only issue though is that the boss fight is gonna be like super slow. Unless I grab more thermal detonators, that's like the only thing. Some of these stormtroopers can actually draw me a few of them. There's one. Can I grab that? Nice. Okay, cool. It's gonna speed up the next boss fight a little bit. It's gonna be interesting. So my time in this game is at 27 something with like several decent RNG. It can be a little bit lower than that, definitely, with just execution. I'm not sure yet which version will be faster, because even though this version has like is faster in so many regards, there's one major thing, unfortunately, that makes this version a little bit slower. I just want to sit here and hope I don't die. See, unfortunately I have to do this way, and this enemy is like got me killed very slowly. That's why we need to bring thermal detonators here. Unfortunately, in my previous attempt I used most of them, so the idea here is just wait a little bit here. And that's one thing about this version, you can like raise up the cameras too as well. And you can use that to manipulate this level in order to like go faster with the elevators and stuff. Right. We are slowly getting there. And then we can just go to the final level, which is the Death Star and the Trench Run, which is completely different than the Super Nintendo version. This is the biggest thing. The Mode 7 section here is a complete rework from the Super Nintendo version, and it has some huge differences. One of them is very detrimental to a speedrun this game because it's way longer. I'm gonna play when I get there. Alright, we're about to be done with this. So what happened in the previous system is that I raised the camera too much there, and in the part where I'm landing, completely respawns, so the game recognizes as a pit, so I pretty much die. Because I kinda completely entered the boss arena here. Alright. 1 to go, there we go, nice. Alright, so we are now making our way to the trench run. The first phase and the surface is kind of similar to the Super Nintendo one. The only difference is that you move slower, and also the turrets over here, they spawn way closer, as well as the TIE fighters. The idea here is you need to kill like 10 of each, and the difficult part of this is that if you run into one of those towers, you can actually immediately die. Fortunately though, if you die, you continue this level as normal. You don't restart over with 10 TIE fighters or 10 towers. Like, the progress you make in the first attempt saves. Now we are getting close to the end here. Alright, so the trench run itself also is completely different. Because first of all, it's in third person. You are not looking in the cockpit and killing enemies around the window. So this part is a little bit different. This is the only part where I can see that the game was, I mean, it's like the only unpolished part of this build, which otherwise it's like almost like a done version of the game. But this is the part that I need a little bit more rework, because the TIE fighters are not really a threat there. They just move straight and shoot at whatever is in the direction. Also, we have these like obstacle sections. There's two of them. The first one is like really, they move like really slow, but the second one is like actually really way faster. Oh, and also on top of that, I have inverted controls right now, so they are kind of hard to get into. I really die a lot here when I learned this version of this game. Alright, so this is the first like obstacle section, then we had the TIE fighters, and then the second one is way faster. So every time I run into those obstacles, I can choose from 2 shield points of 3. And we need to conserve those for the Vader fight, because he can be pretty annoying a little bit. Alright. And now for the tough part of the stage. Because this is faster. Also, the perspective can be kinda forgiving a little bit. Sometimes you think that you are in the right height and you still bunk into one of these obstacles, unfortunately. So I'm making it through here. The hardest part was at the beginning. That one is kinda tricky. The next is like kinda similar to the previous one. And now here comes Vader. So the idea here is that it's basically a scenario. All your projectiles are gonna hit Vader, and that's gonna make for a quick kill. So sometimes you're gonna tank some damage here, just to make sure that all your projectiles hit Vader, and we can just finish the game. Ooh. Please slightly save just in case. There we go. That should be done. And at the end, I'm gonna fire torpedoes. And that's it. Time. GG's. And that's Super Star Wars DOS version. One thing about the last part there is the only bad thing about this game as a speedrun is that I think the last time I timed it, that section over there is like a minute 20 slower than the Super Nintendo version, which is unfortunately it's a bummer, because everything else is faster. Like, you get like very good movement, very good detonator RNG. You can like quick kill most of the bosses in this game, and this is like the only like drawback, in that the autoscroller there is a little bit longer. But so yeah, it's still soon to say if this version could be faster than Super Nintendo. still enjoying this game. Alright, we have the final screen, which better resolution than in the Super Nintendo version. But it's pretty much the same, so this is a pretty neat game that I found out on the internet. I wanted to do something like very unique for this marathon. It's a cool version. Yes, definitely. It's a shame that unfortunately, what happened was that LucasArts had a change of management during that time, and they shifted the priorities, so they decided not to release this game like officially. The thing I'm playing right now is just a non-release last build of the game. But yeah, at least I get to show that. But yeah, thank you so much, Kessel Run BMAC, again, for accepting this run. First time I run this. I think somebody has tried to run this version, which is pretty neat. And thanks for watching, everyone. So stay tuned and keep enjoying the marathon. Thank you so much. Have a good day.